Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Boob Diaries with Aoife. I am Aoife and this is, as I said, the second episode. So again, welcome. I hope those of you who listened to the first one will come back for the second one. I realise that this is only a couple of days after I posted the first one, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of traction going with it. After this episode, though, it'll be 2 weeks before the next episode, so that is kind of where we're standing with that. That'll be that sort of time frame. I'll update them every 2 or 3 weeks or so. Now, we left off the last time where I was about to get the results of the biopsy, and I had really kind of didn't know where it was going to go. I had inklings myself of where it was going to go, what was going to happen, but I didn't obviously fully know. So I won't spend too much long talking about it. I will just say, though, that some of the information that I'm about to read out is not strictly true because they didn't tell me quite how severe it was at first. I suppose that is probably to save people from getting overwhelmed initially, because obviously, understandably, it is an extremely overwhelming thing to hear. To walk in to a doctor's office and be told that you have cancer when you're only 30 years of age is something that I hope most people don't have to go through, but when you do go through it, you will know that it's something that's it's terrifying. So some of the information it's not that it's not true, it's just that it's not strictly the full story. But as I said previously, a lot of stuff is kind of different, and as it goes through it is corrected. I did find out later the full scope of the illness and stuff later on. So some of this information in this bit is maybe a little bit wrong, but just bear with it and it will be corrected. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and read it. At the end of this, there'll be a couple of poems and stuff as well that I had included in the book, so I'll read them out at the end as well. And yeah, so just again, without further ado, here is part 2 of the Boob Diaries. The 21st of the 1st, 2014. Frankie looked from the tiny wall-mounted TV to me and said, "Why is Jeremy Kyle always on in hospital waiting rooms?" "It's to make you feel better about your own life," I said. "It's like they're saying, look, whatever's wrong with you, it's not that bad. You could be these people." She laughed and held my hand. 5 minutes later, my name was called. 5 minutes after that, the entire bottom had fallen out of my world completely. There is nothing that prepares you for the transition that happens in your head, that switches you from healthy person to sick person. In an instant, I became part of a statistic. Invasive carcinogenic tumour. That's all I heard. I know he continued talking after that, but that is literally all I heard. After that, words became warped and muffled, and the walls of his office began to bend and close in on me. Panicked, I began thinking, does he know I'm not listening? Can he tell? What's my face like? What do I look like right now? Why can't I feel my hands? I think at that point I smiled, which was met with a rather confused look because he'd been in the middle of explaining to me about the aftercare of a lumpectomy. Myself and Frankie were then brought to a green room where the liaison nurse explained everything to us again. A bit more information resonated this time, but it felt like a whole universe of information to take in. Then I had to ring my parents and get them to come and pick me up. That car journey from Beaumont Hospital to my parents' house in Kinseely felt like it lasted a whole day. I had to sit in the back seat, my mother and father up front, me in the back, looking at the side of their faces and the back of their heads. Just like all the car journeys we had taken when I was young, driving towards happier memories. Frankie beside me, holding my hand in tears. My mother looked around at me and said, "Well?" I just nodded and cried. We all cried. A vacuum sucked all of the air out of the car, and all that was left were deep breaths and silent tears. All of that began at 11:30 this morning. It's now 8 p.m, and it feels like this day has been my whole life. The 22nd of the 1st, 2014. I can't even begin to explain the feelings I'm feeling. To wake up one morning okay, and to end that same day as a cancer patient is beyond any explanation. Today I made the decision to push my surgery back a week. Last night I felt like I was literally going insane. Like life had just done a complete about face, and I'd been turned all the way backwards and inside out. I felt completely out of control of everything. Yesterday I was told that I had breast cancer. That was Wednesday. The proposed schedule was to be today blood tests and general health check in preparation for surgery. Tomorrow would have been an isotope injection, which is a radiation injection to the breast. Then a lumpectomy and the removal of the sentinel lymph node under my arm would have been taken place on Friday. The lump in the area of breast tissue of approximately 3 centimetres diameter around the lump would be removed and sent off to be analysed. After the results of that came back, approximately 10 days later, the next steps would be discussed. This is all still the schedule of events, but instead of them starting the day after tomorrow, surgery has been pushed back to next Friday, 31st of January. This decision wasn't made lightly. I'm going to use the time to find out all I can about what's going on inside my body and to be good to myself. Buy myself something, watch movies I like, eat food that's a little bit bad for me and go places that calm me. Once I go for the operation, my life will change completely, at least for the immediate future. It is pretty likely that I will have to have chemotherapy. They won't know for definite until the results of the lumpectomy analysis come back, but the nurse said that because of my age, they would more than likely go ahead with chemo as a preventative measure anyway. This would mean that for the next year, I'm going to remain the cancer patient that I became in less than 10 minutes in the cold leather chair of a consultant's office. There are some upsides though. It doesn't look like it has spread based on the mammograms. Everything else we'll just have to wait and see. They'll know more when they actually get in there and remove the lump and get to analyse it fully. One of the most surprising things about all of this has been people. People have been so kind and warm and open with me. My gratitude will never be expressed deeply enough to everyone, family and friends alike. I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by beautiful human beings who are full of love and support, and my survival of this will be in no small part due to your extensions of kindness, wisdom and grace. But the one person of all of the people who has risen above the rest is my beautiful girlfriend, my Frankie. What she has done is taken all of my weak, fragile parts and held them in her heart. She has wrapped me up in the gentlest of kisses and most tender embraces, and steeled me against this coming storm. I feel so cloaked in love and light and safety because of her. From her relentless hand-holding to the fact that she's moving into my parents' house, in essence to look after me in the aftermath of surgery and for the duration of this thing. Her sacrifice and selfless, unconditional love for me has shown no bounds. I love you. I love you. I love you. I still feel like I'm walking through a wax version of real life. It was only one day ago that I was told, and yet I feel like yesterday and today have been the 2 longest days of my entire life. All I want to leave you on is that I won't let this beat me. As one of my friends said, you're too stubborn to let a little thing like cancer beat you down. So all that's left to do is sound my own personal battle cry. Sound it loud from the rooftops. Hey Big C, I'm not afraid of you. You picked the wrong dyke to mess with. The 23rd of the 1st, 2014. I woke up in the middle of the night from a dream. I dreamt that my cancer had all just been a dream. One big nightmare. I dreamt that I was sitting at the table in the kitchen with my dad, laughing at the silly dream I'd had. When I woke up for real, I went to the bathroom and I discovered I'd gotten my period, and suddenly I just couldn't handle it. I felt a bit like I had a sore throat too, and I started to think, what if I'm dying? What if all along, every time I've been sick lately has been because of cancer, and it's spread all over me? What if? I I felt so panicked and scared, and like everything was falling in on me, pushing up from beneath and coming down from below. I went back into bed and I began to sob, deep guttural sobs that came from my heart and soul and the depths of my belly. The kind of gulping cries that mean you can't catch your breath and you scrunch up your face and you whimper and weep and the tears form a river on your pillow. Frankie woke up and I cried into her chest. She just held me and held me and held me. I woke up again 2 hours later with period pain, and it was weird because I felt kind of glad to be feeling a normal pain. That was the second time I've cried over this. Only the second. But it was the first time I really allowed myself to let go and really feel it. It's part of the reason I put the surgery back to next week. To give myself time to be weak for a while and to cry buckets before I have to do this thing. I feel better now. I know I'm not about to die. They wouldn't have allowed me to postpone the surgery by a week and a half if it was literally on death's door. So I feel okay. For now. I'm going back into the hospital today, just to meet with the liaison nurse and with Mum. Mum needs to chat with her. And I have a few questions that I never thought to ask yesterday. It'll be a good thing, I'm sure. I'm also going for a few drinks with all of my friends on Saturday. I'll just invite all of my closest ones and whoever wants to come can. If people feel they aren't able, that's fine too. It'll be nice to have a night out before all of this madness begins. I suppose it's really just about taking one step at a time, it seems. Every single person I know, and even some I don't, have been so nice, and I really do feel really loved. I think if I just take it one day at a time and don't think of the broader picture, this will be easier. I cannot and will not let this win. It's just something that's happening to me. It's not all of me. It's not the thing that beats me. I'm bigger than it, I'm better than it, and it will not win. I am the master of my own destiny, and cancer can fuck right off. I haven't got time for it. I'm too busy making plans for the rest of my life. When this is all over, I'm saving up and I'm going to bring Frankie to Japan or something. I want to eat miso soup and buy manga comics. The 28th of the 1st, 2014. It's weird. It feels like both much longer and much shorter than 1 week since my diagnosis. I'm scared. So very frightened. The biggest fear at the moment is surgery. Because I have never taken any sort of medically prescribed sedative, the idea of losing control totally and going under in the operation is what is totally freaking me out. Still though, not an awful lot that I can do about that. I go in for surgery on Friday, and that's the end of it really. I feel so weird. I went down on Saturday night and I got absolutely fucking wasted. And I really regret that now. Not the going out part, that was great. Just the amount of shit I drank. I guess that was inevitable though. I ended up getting a cold. I think that's why I regret it so much. Not looking after myself properly in light of what's going on in my body seems really fucking stupid. Still though, not a lot to be done about it now. A friend said she'd come over to me tomorrow and I can feel myself backing away from that idea mentally. But only because tomorrow is Wednesday, which means 3 days away from surgery, and I'm just so nervous. I can't allow myself to lock myself away from my friends though. After all, I'm really going to need them over the coming months. So obviously, despite the fact that what I feel like doing is hiding under my bed covers for a whole day tomorrow, I'll embrace a visit from my friends and talk and have a laugh. It still all just feels so surreal. I don't feel sick. Aren't you supposed to be ill when you have cancer? I don't feel ill. Or maybe I do. I don't know anymore. I have so many questions. I feel like the amount of questions I have can never be answered. Most of the questions I have can't be answered until after the surgery anyway. I read a lot about it tonight and I honestly don't know if it made me feel better or worse. I think I have an excess of information now. How can I expect myself to be okay with it after only a week though? I'm just so scared of everything, of how much my life is going to change, of how stupid things like not waking up from the surgery is scaring the shit out of me. I'm scared of losing Frankie, I'm scared of dying, I'm scared of more surgery, I'm scared of never achieving what I want to achieve in life. I'm scared of never getting a degree. I'm scared of going into early menopause, of infertility. I'm scared of a year of chemotherapy and losing my hair. Well, not so much the hair on my head, weirdly, but my eyelashes. I'm scared of losing my eyelashes. I like my eyelashes. I'm exhausted and I can't sleep, and I'm having messed up dreams when I finally do fall asleep. For now, though, I guess I'll just read until I do fall asleep, and I just have to try and stop overthinking this. It's just all so overwhelming right now. Okay, so that brings us to the end of just that little section. That was the end of part 1, actually. I have it segmented into 5 parts, I believe. And just at the end of each part of the book, I inserted a few pieces that I wrote during diagnosis and treatment. They are in chronological timeline throughout the Boob Diaries, and it's as everything was originally written, because it was all written into the same journal. So I'm going to read them out because I think they're appropriately placed in my timeline, because they show, I suppose, the state of mind that I was in, maybe, or they highlight some things, some emotional things more so, rather than just factual things that I was going through at the time that, maybe the more descriptive words in the rest of the journal maybe don't portray quite as well or quite as starkly. The first little piece, there's 3 pieces now to read out. There's 2 poems and just a little piece about my grandmother's funeral. It was written just after my grandmother's funeral, which was just before the big thing, everything happened. And even though I hadn't been diagnosed yet, I still consider this the part of the journey for some reason in my head. It's just all connected. It's kind of, that's when everything just kind of started to go a bit sour for me. So it's just all kind of connected. So here is the first little piece of, shall we say, for want of a better turn of phrase, creative writing within it. It's called Death Before a Funeral. So here it is. When you get down to the very marrow of the very bones of it, people are nice to you. So nice. They mean it too. That's why you feel guilty when all of a sudden you find yourself wanting to punch them and hug them all at once. By the time the 500th person has offered you their condolences, all you want to do is run and run and run and run until you just stop. Death is devastating and confusing and so tiring for the living. I lost my grandmother on November 7th. Her funeral was November 11th, my birthday. My 30th birthday. Stolen thunder snatched from my sky by the earth-splintering lightning bolt that was Mrs. Teresa Reid. Those that knew her would see the humour in it. She'd been sick for a while. She was 88. A good old innings, most people would say. I now loathe that phrase, but she had been ill. Dementia is a soul-crushing disease that eats away at entire families. Eats away so much that death becomes a relief for everyone. I only went to see her 3 times while she was in hospital. She went in less than a year ago. I don't regret that. I want to think of her as she was, as my nanny. I don't want to see that empty, dull relic that she became every time I close my eyes. Instead, now, for the most part, the first things I remember are extra sweet tea, too much makeup, scarlet lipstick, and lavender-scented talc. And I'm glad. The second time I went up to visit her, I knew it was going to be soon. When you cradle one of your first ever caregivers in your arms as they weep from confusion and fear, just as they had once held you as a baby, you know it's gone full circle. That day I came away changed. Different in a way unknowable before I went in. To see her so reduced was heartbreaking. As I looked at her, I thought, everything she used to be is threaded through those lines in her face. And it was a good thing too, because her eyes had nothing left in them. She was a woman of such character. How colourful she was. How heavily the mighty fall. Do you know how hard it is to watch one of your heroes disintegrate? I'll tell you. It's damn hard. To see the sparks of intelligence and humour, all glints of mischievousness and recognition held in her eyes be replaced by fear and confusion. It takes a part of you. Once upon a time, she was a whole universe unto herself. At the epicenter of it stood her heart, with the rest of us orbiting and spinning around her. I guess we always will, it's just that now her light is burnt out. But we'll always be touched by the warmth that emanated from her. I miss her light. I miss her stories. I miss her songs. I miss the fact that she insisted on putting on a full face of makeup even just to go to the local shop, leaving a 7-year-old me dangling and swinging my legs impatiently off the side of her bed as I watched her don her war paint. I miss the way her skin smelled, and the way she hugged me, and the way her brushed linen bed sheets felt at night. Even before the hospital, though, a whole person went missing. How does that happen? She was gone before she left us. I think that's why she finally checked out. Now, when I'm not thinking of that one day, and I'm remembering her in all her glory, I can take solace in the fact that everything she was to me, all her songs and stories and love and care, is etched onto my heart and laced through my blood. Okay, so now there's 2 poems tacked onto the end of this little section as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the first one, and that is called David and Goliath. I will pound my feet to the ground. My path will be of flame. I will be the force of nature. I the one to be reckoned with. I am not afraid. I am not meek. I am not mild. I am not cowering. I am bigger than anything. I set the world ablaze. I will make it tremble. I will overcome. I am David. It is Goliath. It seems so huge, so all-consuming, but it has never met me before. It has never trembled in my wake. It will now. I have no time to be defeated. I've too much left to do. Giving in is not an option when you still need to rule the world. I will walk my path of fire, and I will be the coming storm. Okay. So then the last thing then is just the second poem, which is called Pathos. And here this is. I've always had all the pathos I needed to keep everyone listening, to keep them wanting more, to hunger and intrigue them, arousing them in whatever manner I saw fit. I've always had a way with words and a way with people and a way about myself. I've always had the ability to weave magic, but I didn't need any such spells when it came to you. My enigmatic, charismatic wiles were powerless with you. I became transparent for you, yielding to your X-ray eyes. You saw me, you see me, you know me. From the moment you laid eyes upon my open soul, you saw that all of my tricks, my brash, bolshy bravado, nothing more than a facade. A graffiti-covered shop facing, on the front of a timid, quaint old tea room that serves up its breakfast blend in bone china teacups. You instantly saw the beauty in what everyone else had always been blind to. And now that my hypnotic verbosity has been replaced by fear and weakness and frailty and tiny salty teardrops, you're still here. You're here because that's how you always saw me, as I was. As someone who needed something, someone who needed someone to breach her self-made barriers and rescue the damsel in distress held within. That thing I so desperately needed, that was you. I've always had all the pathos I needed, but I needed none of it as soon as I found you. Okay, that's it. So that is it for part 1 of the Boob Diaries. So that's 2 episodes made up 1 part. So I think maybe we're going to get about 12 episodes out of this, I think, in or around. After that, then I don't know what we'll do, but sure, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, I guess there's nothing more to say really about it. I suppose one of the reasons why I decided to record 2 this week, and why I decided kind of to do it now, is because I'm actually about to hit my 6-year mark very soon. Obviously, as the 31st of January was the day that I had my operation, and that is the day that you count it from. Next Monday, which will be Monday the 27th, I'm going in to have my yearly mammogram. So by the time I'm recording the 3rd episode, I'll have the results of that. So we'll be able to start off the episode with the most recent update that we can possibly have, assuming that that is all fine, which I've no doubt that it will be. That should be a good episode as well. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope that everybody is enjoying it that is listening to it. I hope you've returned to listen to the 2nd episode. So if you enjoyed the 1st episode and this episode, please come back for the 3rd episode. And if you are enjoying it, please like it, subscribe to it, share it around. We're available now on everything that you can listen to podcasts on. So it's on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all of them. Everything that you can listen to them on. It's even on TuneIn. So if you just go to if you've got an Alexa app or anything, just say, Alexa, play the Boob Diaries, and it will play. So that's it for this episode. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. I know I have enjoyed recording it. I hope you come back. And until the next time, guys, peace out.